Hello, and welcome back to Brienne's Brain, where we explore the mind and melodies of mental health. How are y'all doing today? Yeah, totally. I totally get that. Okay, guys, so today God is challenging me to be completely vulnerable about my full testimony. So I'm going to be telling you guys my full testimony in regards to mental health, my battle with depression, anxiety, suicide. Because I have many testimonies and many more to come. Specifically, we'll be talking about my testimony, my full testimony when it comes to suicide, depression, anxiety, stuff like that. So, we're gonna back it up all the way to really, I guess this has to go back to childhood. I was heavily bullied, growing up as a dark skinned, plus size girl in the performing arts. I was just weird, shy, awkward. I was never really good at making friends. I was just really quiet and didn't really like people, to be honest with you. And so I stayed to myself a lot, and I got teased and stuff, so I was like, I'd rather just not let myself be known. Also, being a plus size girl, growing up, I was always told that I was just, I always needed to lose weight because I was in dance, and I was a performer, and a lot of people told me that I needed to lose weight in order to make it. People want to basically cast you if you look a certain way. And so I grew up very insecure, to be honest with you. I did not like my skin color. I did not like how I looked. Again, because I got teased and because I was constantly being told, you need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. I know some of you guys can relate with this. Looking back on my at my pictures back then, what were y'all talking about? Like, was I skinny? No. But I was not like unhealthy. You get what I'm saying? And so it was just because people wanted me to look a certain way. And so I just thought that I was completely ugly, and I'm still working through that. Honestly, I'm still recovering from that. I haven't gotten officially diagnosed with an eating disorder. However, I do have a lot of the symptoms of some of the eating disorders that are out there, just because I don't have a great relationship with food because I was always try to lose weight, and so I could never like eat for fun. I would always, when I would eat, I would feel bad after. I would feel shame, guilty, and then I would be depressed. And so I just had a lot kind of going on, and I was sexually abused from the ages 8 to 14. And so I was just kind of going through a lot on top of already being a Black girl in America. When I went to high school, I went to a performing arts high school. That was a great high school that really did prepare me. I just experienced a lot of racism there. It was a predominantly white Hispanic school in Miami. So, so I naturally developed over time depression, anxiety, PTSD. On top of that, I had ADHD, so I always kind of felt dumb in school because I just had a different way of thinking than it seemed like I was supposed to. And I would get overwhelmed very easily because with ADHD, you don't just have the one thought telling you, oh, you need to do this, and then you get up and do it. It's like you have that one thought, and then it branches off into other thoughts, and then those thoughts branch off to other thoughts, and then it becomes this whole like just war in your mind. And so it's really easy for people with ADHD to get overwhelmed and go into an ADHD like paralysis state, for days and not get anything done. And then, you know, me having anxiety does not help with that, and then that would trigger depression. And so it was just like I was going through it as a child. In 2020, I was a junior in college. I was really depressed, and I didn't even really know why. It was really just, I feel like my body had come to a point where it's like, we really can't take any more of you not acknowledging everything that we've been through. And so I kind of just had a shutdown moment, like a mental breakdown and burnout, basically. And I didn't even know that's what it was at the time. My theater professor actually brought me into her office, and she was like, I think you should probably stop school and focus on your mental health. And I'm like, I can't do that. Can't do that. I gotta keep going. Stop school. Are you serious? And she was like, okay, well, I think at least you need to be in therapy. And I'm like, okay. I ended up taking my first therapy session in 2020, I think like in February, early February probably. And when the pandemic hit, I had to go back home. Obviously, I ended up not continuing the therapy with that particular therapist. Eventually, a couple months later, I was like, maybe I should get back on the therapy train. So I downloaded BetterHelp. It was like $60 a week or $6 per session or something like that. But I also didn't really click or have the chemistry I wanted with my therapist. When I stopped therapy with BetterHelp, I stopped therapy altogether for about 2 years. I completely forgot a very important piece of information. In 2019, that was the first time I attempted suicide. And even then I was like, therapy? Like, girl, you need to get y'all in therapy. I was just going through a really tough time in college, and I was very depressed, and I had gathered all the pills in my room that I could find, and I was just ready to go. And I prayed to God. I was like, God, I'm so tired. I don't feel like feeling like this anymore. My heart, literally, it hurts, like physically. Gathered all the pills, prayed to God, hey, don't want to be here, want to go, don't want to be in hell on earth, kind of just want to not be here at all. So I was like, are you gonna do anything about it? Because I don't want to be here. Like, you have like a couple of seconds to show me that you care. Do you even care? And I stayed silent for about 30 seconds, and there was nothing that happened. So I was just like, okay, well, I took the pills, I started putting them in my hand, and then my phone rang. And at this point, I'm like, I'm crying hysterically. And so I answer the phone, but I back away because I don't know. It's FaceTime, by the way. It's my friend, one of my best friends, really. And he calls me on FaceTime, so I back away from the phone so he can't see that I'm crying. I'm like, hello? He's like, hi. The Holy Spirit told me to call you to save your life. And I obviously broke down and cried so loud. And I know my roommates on the side of me heard me, because I didn't care. I was like, wow, God is, I know he was real, but wow, he's real for real. And he cares. After that night, it's not like my problems just went away and the depression just went away, but I knew I definitely was given the strength that I needed to continue, and the peace that surpasses all understanding. And so that was 2019. 2020 is when I ended up in therapy, and then pandemic tried to do BetterHelp, didn't like the therapist, stopped. Now we're going to 2022. The beginning of 2022, God kept pushing me to tell my parents about my sexual abuse. I did not want to. I have been dreading to do that for years, obviously. There was a part of me that felt like it was my fault, and yeah. Anyway, I didn't want to tell them, but God was really pushing me to do it, and so I knew I had to do it. And so there was one day in January of 2022 that I just finally broke down and told them. And it took me a long time to actually, for the words to come out. I was weeping, and my parents were stunned. Obviously, they didn't know what to say, and neither did I. Still don't get back into therapy. I just kind of tough it out. The September of 2022, I go to Women Thou Art Loose. It was the last year for Women Thou Art Loose, which is a conference, which was a conference TD Jakes had for women. It was just a lot of spiritual warfare that I went through after that. I was a teacher at the time. I was a drama teacher at an elementary school, and I had actually just started like 2 weeks before the conference. At the conference, they were talking about how they had this program that gave life coaching, therapy, basically, and for free. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't really have an excuse anymore. So I tried that, hated it, didn't like the life coach that I was assigned. She seemed apathetic and not very interested in what I was saying. So I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. Like, she literally had in the session, guys, she literally had her cover over herself like this. She was like, okay, so I want you to repeat after me. I am brave. I am beautiful. I am smart. Yeah, so these are going to be your affirmations. And man. So didn't go back to her. Then I started growth therapy. And I think that was free because of how my insurance basically covered it. I went through 2 therapists on growth therapy. And the first one, she was very well intentioned. She was a Christian Black lady, and she was really sweet. But you know how sometimes Christians can be unknowingly, like, they can basically try to solve everything with scripture. And I'm like, as a therapist, that's so weird for you to... that was weird to me, especially with my sexual abuse. It was kind of like a get over it thing, and just, you have to forgive you or whatever. And I'm like, well, I know I want to forgive, that's why I'm here, but it's not just like an on or off switch. Like, I need help. And she was just like telling me scriptures and stuff. I was like, okay, thanks. So ended that, went to another lady, had one session with her, and she did not answer me back. Like, I kept reaching out to her, wouldn't answer me. And so I was just like, okay, what the heck is going on with these therapists? Like, I'm like, dang, is there one that, am I ever going to find one that fits me and that seems interested enough and compassionate enough and empathetic enough? So I was just kind of hesitant to continue therapy. So I just stopped for a minute until I had a really bad mental breakdown. I didn't even show up to work. I didn't call in. I didn't do anything because I was literally paralyzed. From then, I got a psychiatrist and a therapist. Well, first it was a psychiatrist, and she prescribed me some medication for depression and anxiety. And through them, they referred me to a therapist. I love her, and I still have her to this day. She is awesome. She is the perfect therapist for me, and she's as white as they come. And so I actually want to say this to somebody: don't let your preconceived notions stop you from trying a therapist. Definitely with race, I would challenge you to not really worry about that. Now, there are probably hesitations because if you're black or if you're Hispanic or whatever, you want someone who relates to you in a sense and who can be empathetic and really understand, because let's be honest, a lot of people don't understand our experience. They just don't. But there are so many people that have done the work, that have done the research, that have decided to call themselves out and hold themselves and their peers accountable, and are professional and actually liked by people. Now, I don't know how many of them are out there, but my therapist, again, is as white as they come. She's beautiful. Her name is Chloe. And she's like a younger therapist. She is a Christian, actually. I was actually hesitant about having another Christian therapist just because of my last experience. But I'm glad she's Christian because I can talk to her about what God tells me in my journey. And I have a second therapist, an EMDR therapist. So the second suicide attempt was in September, like late September of 2023. So this whole time I didn't realize that the fan was on. So sorry about the whatever sound the fan makes. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah, second suicide attempt was, I believe, late September, and I was actually on my way back from Savannah. I was visiting my sister. She had just went to college. She was feeling homesick, so I went 6 hours. I drove 6 hours by myself to see her. It was more of a spiritual attack than anything, because it was just a lot of thoughts, a lot of voices, just like telling me this is a perfect opportunity to kill yourself. Like, just do it. You're on the road. Like, just go ahead. I was just very anxious. I was depressed out of my mind. Mental health I was in therapy, but my mental health was on a decline. And I had actually quit my job. So I didn't have a job. Well, I still don't have a job. Yeah, I didn't have a job. I was just really anxious about a lot and where my life was headed. I didn't have any direction. I didn't feel it or any vision for my life or whatever. And so, I mean, I did. Like, I was trying to do music and stuff, but I was just like, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep playing this game called life. I don't. And so, I was ready to go. But this time I was like, I'm going to call my best friend. So I called my best friend, Myra. And, you know, she talked me down. She told me to pull over. I pulled over. And she started immediately praying for me and singing On Time God. On time God, you know the impossible. On time God, you know doing miracles. You're never too late, you never give up. Nothing's too far gone for the on time God. You always show up. She sung that song over me and she just kept singing it. I just wept. I'm just like, I'm just tired. Just tired of dealing with mental illness. It's so exhausting. Tired of dealing with anxiety. Tired of dealing with depression. I'm tired of dealing with PTSD. I'm tired of it weighing me down. Me feeling like I can't do anything. And I'm just feeling defeated and it just being so debilitating. And I don't want to be here. And so, yeah, she just prayed. And I'm telling y'all, I don't even remember how I got home. Like, I was still more than 5 hours away from home. Like, basically still 6 hours away from home. And I just remember, pulling back onto the highway. And I remember pulling into my driveway. I don't remember what I did in between. I don't remember if I just sat in silence, if I listened to music, if I listened to sermons, if I wasn't on the phone. I told her, okay, after an hour of her like talking to me, trying to calm me down, and praying over me, I then got back on the road. And I just remember pulling into my driveway home and being alive, obviously. So that was the second time. The third time I've already talked about on here, but I'm going to do a quick recap. The third time was back in March of this year. And what did happen? I was just, again, depressed. I've been really going through a season of stretching. Like, God is really, really stretching my faith. He told me a lot of things that would happen back in October this year that still have not happened yet. And so, I mean, it's June. We still have 6 months left. But he basically gave me a bunch of promises, a word of knowledge, a prophecy, and it was a lot. It was a whole download of stuff that he was telling me about the right now and the future, the near future. And told me I was going to be moving to Tulsa. And at that point, I didn't know why. I just knew that I would be moving to Tulsa this year. Now I know why. It's because I'm going to school. After that, October, I'm going to say October 14th because I got back the 13th. October 14th until now, really, I've been in a wilderness season where God has been really supernaturally providing for me, giving me manna, if you will. He's been teaching me a lot of things, cleaning a lot on the inside of me, getting rid of idols that I didn't know I had, just preparing me for whatever it is he's about to do, whatever door he's about to open. But I do know it's big, and I do know that it is purposeful. Basically in March, I was just really in a really dark place, and that's the worst my depression had ever been. It was so bad that it felt almost like physical. Like I really don't even know how to describe it, but I felt like I wasn't even here. I felt like I was just watching my life. I was associating all the time. I was like, well, I don't really care about the promise anymore. I just kind of don't want to feel like this. And I'm in therapy. I feel like I'm doing everything I need to do. I'm taking my medication. I'm trying to pray. I'm trying to worship and all this stuff. And nothing is changing. And so I'm just gonna go. And and so again, I took my medication, the pills. I called suicide hotline. Didn't tell me that they were gonna literally come pick me up and take me to the hospital, and involuntarily then transfer me to a mental facility. I was just yapping away on the phone, and then the police was at my door, and I was like, oh, hi, didn't know you were coming. Yeah, we have to take you. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that was that. That was the first time I was in a mental facility. And there I was actually able to learn a few coping mechanisms. Like, now I know that I really like to do word search, and that it does really calm me. Like, if I feel overstimulated or like really anxious, I'll get a crossword puzzle. Well, is it crossword? No, it's word search, and I'll listen to music. I'll shut my mouth because I can't speak in those moments, and I will just do the word search. But I'm also a verbal processor, so sometimes I need to vent. And I do want to do another video to talk about all the coping strategies that I've learned over the last few months, or really the last year in therapy, but that'll be another video. And that was a very spiritual experience as well. Literally prayed for a woman with cancer. God had revealed to me that this woman had cancer. Prayed over her. He told me he was going to heal her of cancer. To tell her that, I was like, okay. And so did that. Made some friends, and really gained a passion to advocate for people with mental illness, whatever mental illness, you name it. So I now have a newfound passion for that. And so that is what catapulted me to this, to doing all this, to going to school for mental health, for professional counseling, where I will be a therapist. I eventually want to open up my own mental facility. That's why I'm here now. I'm going to school, starting school in the fall. However, I do believe that I will be moving to Tulsa before August, just because I feel like God has been telling me that I'm going to leave very soon, and he's told me to pack. I'm just waiting for whatever that door is to open and obeying him in the meantime. I'm gonna go because my phone keeps stopping and saying that I don't have storage. So just know that for the past year, it's been nothing but a complete faith walk. Like, I have not seen nothing. God has been making me do things step by step, not tell me what's ahead, and it's scary, and he'll tell me to do stuff and give no explanation, and that doesn't make sense. Like, don't work. Now I understand why he said that. I needed to recover, needed to heal, needed to rest, and to be prepared for whatever he's about to do in my life. So I'm grateful for that. I'm gonna go ahead. I love you guys so much. Again, I think I said this before, but my email is open if anyone wants to ever email me for prayer requests, for questions or anything like that, and I can either answer them on here, or if you want to keep it between us, you can let me know. So yeah, I love you guys so much. Please remember that you are loved. You are here for a reason. God has a purpose for your life, and I love you. I love you, and I would rather hear anything you'd have to say. I would rather hear you vent than see you not be here on this earth. Okay, so please, if anybody needs to, you can reach out or reach out to a friend, and I always recommend God. So all right, bye guys, love you. I completely forgot to say, I done changed and everything. Please, 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 if you feel led, give to my GoFundMe. I am really believing God for financial breakthrough. The GoFundMe, it will be in the description below. It is for my transition from Miami to Tulsa. As you know, I said I didn't have a job this whole year because God told me not to. And so now he told me to start a GoFundMe. And so I'm just trying to push it out there. It's been very nerve-wracking doing that because I'm feeling like spirit change, but I'm gonna follow him. I'm going to do what he tells me to do. So if you guys feel led, please give. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, I love you.